Hi, this is the Change and Grow Wellness Show, the show for you, the busy professional who wants to live a healthier, happier life with increased energy and productivity. And I'm Jackie Grant, and I'm your host. And tonight, because it's 2020, guys, we are talking all about how to make a clean slate. So I've got Anna Stapleton, who's going to be my guest today. And welcome, Anna.
Thank you. Thank you. Lovely to be here.
Anna. So Anna, let's start off with you just telling us a little bit about you and how you got to do what you do.
Okay. My background, I'm Italian, by the way, just in case people are wondering about my accent. My background is in HR. I was in the corporate world for 20 years or so. And I loved the job. It was really to do with staff. I've always dealt with people. I then worked for 10 years with the Mental Health Trust. I was in the acute care services. So I have really a broad experience in terms of the private sector, the national health and mental health. And my interest in people has always been there. And also I've been very involved with personal development, growth and development. So I decided I want to become a life coach. So I qualified in 2009 and I'm now a master coach, which I'm accredited with an international organization. And just I love what I do is really supporting people in getting the best out of life.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant, Anna. And thank you for being on the show today. So Anna, we were going to talk about, how to make a clean slate. So, this time of year when people are making plans for 2020, what is your view on setting goals?
This is a lovely time of the year because, as you say, there's an opportunity to reflect and to sit down and see what's happening. And clearly, when I talk about clean slate, what I really mean is that it's very important that before we start the new goals for the year, or in fact, we are now for the decade, is to look at all the review, what has happened. Because as you know, we start something with all the good intentions and then time goes on and things move on. And very often we forget the promises we made to ourselves and to others. So my recommendation is to ensure that whenever you make your new plans, to look at all the things that perhaps been left undone. So being able to review and say, okay, there might be projects you want to carry on doing or projects that they are no longer valid, but being able to be really aware of that, because if you don't do that, the things that nag you, or perhaps the promises you've made, and they're not very serious promises, but you always think, I should have done that. So it's really very important. In fact, I think it's really more important than actually setting goals themselves to clean up any unfinished business. Because, when you see people, you might have promised something 6 months ago and then things are no longer relevant, but it's still there. So that's what I really mean, having that clean slate. And that gives a good foundation for creating the new goals for the year. So that is the first stage.
Yeah, definitely. Like you say, it's definitely a good plan to kind of review where you're at, take stock and reflect, and then, start the year fresh. So definitely. So how, as a coach, how do you actually, help your clients to goals?
I think, so we established the first step. So people are clear that there are some projects that they don't want to carry on, some projects that have come to the next level, and really spend a bit of time to take a bit of what I call a snapshot of where you are now. And ensuring that the promises, the commitment is still valid. Because unless we have a clear commitment of what we want to achieve, what I call it a context, it's just an aim. So you are clear what you want to, to accomplish. So once we do that, then looking at perhaps the priorities, because, there are certain things and priorities, and then start taking steps. So it's really what is important is what is your commitment? What do you want to achieve? And so often people go on to straight, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that. But is that consistent with your purpose in life or what you want to do, or the important, the things that are really important to you? So if we do that, then we're thinking, okay, what is the next step?
So in
So being able
terms
to be
of that,
clear again.
okay. So in terms of that, like obviously we know that they need to be SMART goals, but like in terms of like, I've got a goal, for instance, if I'd say, I'm going to say health one, obviously, to achieve a reduction of 6% body fat within the next 3 months.
Yes.
Yeah. So, when I'm thinking about that goal, am I putting some kind of how I'm going to get there? Is that something that you do with your clients?
I think, again, once there is you know what the goal is, and then you really look at the timing you have available, almost we need to work backwards. So in 3 months' time, you want to achieve this, and having what we call milestones. So being able to say what could realistically achieve in 1 week. So it's being able to, the goals have to be specific, but also sensible in terms of achievable, because we know that there is a time lag. There are certain things that they can't be rushed. So it's more the ensuring that the mental attitude, realizing that is something realistic and durable. So it's really setting milestones on a weekly basis, or could even be on a daily basis, and then being able to say, okay, what are the practical things I need to do, and going on to the specifics. But having milestones is really very important.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, so if we were to think about my goal, and I was to think about those milestones, what would those milestones look like in terms of that? So obviously I said that the body fat percentage. So would it be something like my milestone would be in, say, a week's time, I'd want to be getting 1% off, for instance? I mean, that's out there, but
there is something which I think perhaps we need to really consider. I mean, naturally, there is the specific, like, for instance, doing the exercises, etc. But as a coach, I very much look in the mental, the attitude.
Yeah.
It's really being able to ensure that that person has the mental attitude in terms of, there might be fears. So as a coach, is really acknowledging the things that they are there that might stop you. So it may be one of your clients think they've tried before and they said, oh, haven't succeeded. And rather than having that fear being in the background, being able to say, what have you tried before has not worked, or what are your fears, because they might have talked to someone and there's that person say, oh, you can't do it. So it's really very important to realize, or to actually acknowledge what I call the unsaid. Because we all have fears, we all have doubts and skepticism, etc. So ensuring that the target or the goal you have doesn't have what I call the clutter, the things that you are afraid of, and so that is and naturally there is trust. Is establish that sense of trust that the person knows that they can count on you. So it's really much more than there is the specific of the specific thing needs to be done, but is also whatever goes with it. And I think in setting goals and working together, that is a very important aspect. So I don't know whether that makes sense or answering your question. But there are two things, the practical thing and the mental approach to it.
Okay. So if we were to think about, like, say you had the goals from, last year, and you did your review and there was things that were unfinished. Yeah. And you were saying to yourself, okay, so I've got these unfinished things. Is there any, kind of tips that you can say to people that they can look at these goals and, progress them?
Yes, I think in a way, the only thing we need to be done is acknowledging it, recognizing that you tried it last year or whatever it is, it didn't really work. And what can you learn from it? Really be authentic with yourself and say, what can I learn? And, things move on. We are not a last year. You have made a new promise, really been able to say, why should it not happen this year? Once we learn from what has happened in the past, and naturally take the steps and really improving or introduce the things we done but not done. But the key other thing is not to make yourself wrong or giving yourself a hard time, not to punish. Business to say, okay, I tried last year, it didn't work. Okay, you can't change that. But what you can do is to, we do have each day, if you think about it, is a new beginning for anything we do. And that can be for exercise, for our health and well-being, for everything. So it's really be compassionate with ourselves if we tried something last year and it didn't really work. But that doesn't mean it's not going to work this time.
Okay, cool. So, like the fact that you've looked at last year's, you've had your you've cleared your clean slate, you're starting again your new list of goals, you've come up with your milestones in terms of doing it. So in terms of getting there, what do we need to make sure that we've got in place to get there?
Okay, first of all, of course, there has to be a plan. So there is a plan of action. We have the milestone and almost what we need to do on a day-to-day basis. And one of the aspects of, or the beauty of, or benefits of being a coach or having a coach is someone can hold you to account and can, go all the way with you. So, for instance, one of the things that I do is to keep in touch with people. Sometimes I keep it on a daily basis, just a bit of a reminder. And someone says today, I'm going to do this, because so often, especially when you're starting something new, it can be tough. So if you have someone is on your side and is there, and for instance, sometimes I say to my clients, just tell me, how is he going today? And one of the things I use is really the scale of 1 to 10. So if, for instance, let's say that 10 is just a beautiful day, everything goes according to plan. Where are you? So that by measuring on a day-to-day basis, then we can see. And what that also does, highlights any possible patterns. Because, we have habits and there are certain things we know that, certain things that trip us. So by measuring it and by making a note of what's happened, then you think, oh gosh, this is a pattern, there's a habit I have. So it's really introducing something that breaks the habit. And a coach, someone like yourself or someone, is really helps you all the way. And sometimes the steps have to be small steps. And also acknowledging that however small the steps are, there is still good steps, people moving forward. So it's a combination of accountability, ensuring that, we don't leave things for 3 or 4 days and pretending that, and then you think, oh gosh, I haven't done that. So it's creating a structure, I call it, that really works and keeps each other we keep in touch.
Okay, that's brilliant. So Anna, in terms of reviewing that, so you've set your goals, you've cleared your clutter, you've got a clean slate from last year, you've got your new goals, you looked at your milestones. So what type of review process is in place for that?
Okay, again, it's really looking at reviewing it, really stopping and say on a regular basis. It depends on what this, let's say, for instance, if someone wants to exercise, it's okay. If something has been established that you do it once a day or how many times. So has that plan been followed? And then being able to really look back authentically and say, oh, something has worked, something has gone well, something has not gone so well. How come? Is it a mental attitude kind of thing, of the fear that comes back again? Or is really that someone thinking, I don't know how to do something? So it's identifying why we are not doing it, but doing it in a way that is, because it might take longer for someone to learn to do a new skill, or to develop a new skill, or a new routine. And being able to say whether it's practical or is just really thinking, oh gosh, I'm scared, I don't want to do it, or other reasons, other fears that can come into place. So it's doing that regularly.
Definitely. And I mean, would you because some people can come up with goals and it might be a goal that they really want to do, but like, this is the third year they're coming up with this goal. And, do you work with them around finding out what's the actual motivating factor for them actually doing that goal?
Yeah. One of the things that I think is so important, and I really ask people, my clients, and I will invite people to look, is sometimes we say there is a goal because we should. Perhaps people expect us to do something, or, people think, it's so often, so I should be fitter, or I should do something, but it doesn't come from the heart. Yeah. And they do it because someone else thinks they should. And that is a genuine kind of goal, because one feels forced into doing something. Yeah. So it's really ensuring that the goals, the things we want to do, they are for ourselves. That we are the originators. We are the ones that set it up. And what I call it a created goal. You create it because you want to do it. You have a specific, you want to be fitter, healthier, you want to enjoy life, so there has to be a feeling to why you do it. Yeah. But it's a feeling, it's your feeling, it's no one else's. And then and so often the goals fail, not because we don't want them, but because people think, oh, you should. Even almost is you feel that you're judged, and there is no real freedom in really doing something because you want to do it and helps you to move forward, rather than someone is telling you, or it's really tough sometimes when people are judgmental, or they measure what what you do based on their own measures, rather than so it's important to say, why am I doing this? Am I doing it for myself?
Exactly.
I think definitely. that is so important. It's so important.
Yeah, it's so important, because actually doing something for someone else, or because someone else has said, you need to lose weight, or whatever the goal is that you're less likely to follow through with it unless it's something that comes from you. That's and right. It could make it so difficult for yourself, because you end up beating yourself up that you haven't achieved this goal. Yes. So it's really important to make sure that it's your goal, it comes from you, it's actually what you want to do, it's actually realistic for you, and it's actually the outcome that you want to have. So definitely.
I mean, one of the things that I use specifically for this, and one of the things I really look at, and I say to myself, why are we sabotaging ourselves? We really look at the limiting beliefs and the things that all, they come up. I think it's inevitable for one reason or the other, whether they are self-imposed or is the environment we are in. And one of the techniques I use, I don't know whether we talked about this, but I use emotional freedom technique. It just is a way of getting in touch with and accepting ourselves the way we are, because that's is really being able to say, okay, I am where I am, and there is nothing wrong with it, but there are things I want to change. So removing that, the negativity, removing that again, we go back to the judgmental and to saying, oh, something's wrong with me, because there is nothing wrong with us. We all have our own characteristics, and there are things we want to improve, we want to change, but fundamentally, and so that is the emotional element, I think, especially with the sabotaging or procrastinating. There are two big topics. And we all have, our own version of it, to a certain extent. We all procrastinate, we all, sabotage ourselves, and becoming aware of that. And then, again, it's just managing it and being able to say, okay, I'm doing this, and don't have to carry on doing that, because, knowing we have a choice.
Yeah, definitely. So, Anna, I know you've got a couple of books out.
Oh,
Tell
yes.
us about one of your books.
I mean, in fact, there's one that two books. I mean, I have two books, but the first one, which is called Defining Moments, Reclaim Your Power and Live the Life You Love, which is a bit of an autobiography, but that is very much my own, because I come from Italy. I have, like everybody else, had my struggles and things, but by looking at what has happened to us in the past when we were little, the beliefs that we have developed, by understanding what might happen, because, I made the decisions when I was 11, 12 that I still have the consequences of, because choices, we make choices or we make decisions about ourselves. For instance, I always thought I was, whatever version I had, I'm not good enough, or I could do better. So realizing what are those decisions. So the book is about, that is my version of it, the things that didn't really work for me and the lessons I've learned. And like, for instance, the relationship with, the body, how you feel, how you see yourself. And once you do that, then I've done my own version, but ask people to say, what about you? How come you perhaps hesitate in doing certain things you like to do? What is your opinion you have of yourself? So it's really encouraging people to reflect and say, how come I'm not doing this, even if I would like to do it? It goes back to the sabotaging and procrastinating and understanding. I think it's becoming aware of that. So the book is a very short book, but it is about engaging people, really inviting people to thinking, what is going on that I could change and what is impacted me. So that's one book. And the other one is a book I've written with 6 other people. They are coaches, international people. We never met. We've done it all, remotely. But it's how to win and keep clients. Again, it's for businesses, SMEs.
Oh, brilliant.
And we all have a different approach. They are all coaches, but my specific chapter is about the mental emotional element of running your business. Because, again, you have the practical thing about what you need, what you want to do, and, being, having a plan, a business plan, etc. But I say, what about you? We go back to what we said earlier. You look after yourself, what matters to you. By doing that, then the business and everything else will follow. So it's highlighting the importance of what blocks us at a mental level that really perhaps stops us from being as successful as we want to be. So that is the other book, which is, again, just helping people or supporting people in being the best they can be in whatever they do.
That's great. That's great. I keep saying I'm going to get that defining moments. I need to get it. So, Anna, have you got any freebies or anything that you could offer our listeners today?
I mean, what is one of the things that for coaching, for instance, I can actually offer a free session, just a coaching session. One of the things that I do is people to have a wheel of life. When you really look at what's happening in your life and being able to establish priorities. Could be a 45 minutes session, which is really will be completely free and complimentary. And I would love to be able to, if people have some specific questions, so I'll be delighted to do that. And also they will get to know a little bit more about what I do. But I would be delighted to set up or clean slate, preparing the ground to having a clean slate so that they can move forward, or they can plan or review the plan they have already set up. So it's a complimentary session for my coaching.
No, that's brilliant. Yeah, because I'd love the wheel of life, pinpointing each area and actually seeing which ones you need to work on right now. So yeah, definitely that's a really, really good thing to get from Anna, guys. So Anna, where can people find you?
I have a website, and so people can connect to me through the website, where in fact they can see the book and they can just really look. And it's the www.readytomakeachange.com. So really, I think that would be the best way to connect me, or on Facebook. I also have a Facebook page, which is Ready to Make a Change. Or they can just connect, they can connect with me via Facebook.
Brilliant. Well, that's great, Anna. Have you got any final tips or final words about a clean slate?
I think I have applied all the things I've talked about, and I can only say is really very important that we do take hold of what is important to us. It's really encouraging people to find a way that works for them, in whichever way. It doesn't have to be a specific thing, but really ensuring that they look at what matters to me and how can I achieve it. I've always said not if, but when. So if someone has a target, health and well-being or your career can really be, it's not if it happens, but when it happens. And so I encourage people to just do whatever they can to accomplish that. And, coaches, or there is so much available now, and having people around us and resources on the internet or everywhere where there is no real excuse not to move things forward. And, it's important that people follow their own pace, because, we all need, we have all our own ways. And so respect where you are at, but make sure that you move forward and ask for help.
Brilliant. Thank you, Anna. So guys, get in touch with Anna if you want to make a change, or you need to look at your goals, or you need to, just look at the wheel of life and see what areas of your life that you need to focus on this year. So take care, and I'll be back on the show next week.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me to be here.